I've tried to get you to play card games. You say no. I try.
You know why?
You know
why I dropped out of school? They play too many games.
Do you really want to go there?
Yeah.
We don't have enough time for that.
You really want to go there? Welcome to the Coach Remote Podcast. I'm Tim Riley. We got Zack Zillner in the house.
What's up, everybody? How are we?
We're gonna get right to it. Okay, we are second time guest. We've made it this long. It's been over a year, which is crazy to say. Kelly Matthews, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back. Am I the first one to repeat or no?
No, we've had some other repeat guests.
You're the hardest one to get a hold of to repeat, though.
Yeah, I don't really answer my DMs.
Yeah, for someone who lives in the same house as me, it's really hard to get a response.
Yeah, I get it.
And the DMs.
I get it.
I'm here though.
We played Scrabble this morning. How do you feel about taking the loss in Scrabble this morning?
I didn't technically lose. You finished your letters first and we had to go, but we were not keeping score.
I feel like I won.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, with time expires, whoever's winning won, right?
Right.
No, but it's a point system. That's what you're not understanding is that you just thought, oh, I used
win
all
now.
my letters. I
are gone.
win.
I was
That's
just
not-
worried you were going to fry Tim's brain for the podcast. That was my only concern.
I think I've fried my own brain in the process.
Well, I think it was more of an indicator of how we're both fried because there was not but like 2 5-letter words on that Scrabble board.
But it's only up from there. I immediately ordered, as soon as I realized that you would actually play this game with me, I ordered an expensive LL Bean Scrabble
Advanced
set.
Scrabble.
Whoa.
The like wood and it spins.
Whoa.
Wow.
I want to be a Scrabble family.
You do.
I do. I think we need something like that.
That'd be good
For all
That's
of them.
not-
It'll be good for
Expand the
Adeline.
vocab.
It'd be great
Yeah,
for Adeline.
It will be.
It gets competitive. It gets like fun. Anyone can play it.
See, I started trash talking her though. She gets angry.
Fired up.
Oh yeah, for sure. I started a little bit.
it's been an
She's like,
issue.
"Don't start with me."
It's been an issue in relationships past, honestly. There's been like fights that have come out of.
Issue.
Yeah, and I also get really like the rules matter a lot to me
Yeah.
We're not
when it
big
comes
rule
to
guys.
those.
We were Googling. Now that did matter to me because I wasn't about
We
to
were
let
using
her.
the Scrabble dictionary.
We
yeah.
were because she tried to use the word dis, and I was like, time out.
Yeah.
Is that 2 S's?
It's 2 S's.
And she Googled it.
It's
and
a word.
Motherfuck me.
According
DIS.
DIS is a word.
You know what you need to know about Scrabble that also makes it fun is the more you play, the more you get weird little words that you can play and it pisses everybody else off. That's how I know QI, XI. In college, I played Scrabble all the time.
Interesting.
Explains a lot.
It does.
Explains a lot.
What does it explain?
It explains
Please
why you
expand.
decided to make Scrabble the family
I've
name.
tried to get you to play card games. You say no. I try.
You know why?
I feel
You know
like
why I dropped
Scrabble-
out of school? They had recess. They played too many
Do you
games.
really want to
Too
go there?
many games. Yeah.
We
Tim,
don't have enough time for that.
You really want to go there? Our longtime listeners know why. They know why I didn't make it out of high school. Yeah, they get it. They understand. All right. Well, now that we're done talking about my failures, let's go on. Hey. I have something I want to talk to you about. The past year,
Yeah.
you've been able to do a lot of cool stuff. It's been really fun to watch you continue to grow. And can you kind of give us the, broad strokes, some of the things that have happened in the past year for you, some of the big changes?
Big changes. I would say it's like not huge changes, more just like growth in the same direction, but things just sort of getting bigger and bigger to the point where I'm no longer training in person. I don't know if that was the case the last time
I think you had like
that we were
2
here.
people or something
Yeah.
like that.
I
You
was
were, like,
still
phasing out.
training in person, so that is no more. Although it was hard for me to let that go because I felt like it was just like a piece of my identity.
Yeah.
It was time, and it was actually a huge relief once I actually made that decision. And it just opened up a lot more time because even though I was only training like 5 or 6 clients, that was still like, I don't know, 12 hours a week or something like that. And
That's just the time you training them. It's not counting the time.
yeah,
Getting there.
just dilly-dallying
Yeah, it's a lot
and all
of
that shit. Yeah. So it just opened up a lot more time for me to take on more things. So I've been doing a lot more YouTube, which has been really fun.
Yeah.
and just expanding that audience a little bit and getting a little bit more creative with that content. And then I had a capsule with Honoractive, which was pretty insane. I got to...
Can you explain what a capsule is for
Sure.
some of
Yeah,
our
it's
meathead
very
listeners who, like myself, who needed to
I'm like,
have
is this
that
a
explained?
supplement thing?
She was like,
Or-
I've got a capsule dropping. I'm like, how many times
like
a day do you take
a
it?
literal capsule? Yeah. So it works differently at every place, but basically a capsule indicates it's like just its own little thing, a little family of items that you drop at the same time that usually have like a color scheme and kind of a theme and a vibe, but they're not at Honoractive. It basically means like they're not new items. They're just existing items in new colors, maybe with new graphics, stuff like that. So basically,
it's basically the same items, but they're exclusive to Kelly Matthews, and it's like your spin on it.
yes. So I got to choose out of existing items like what sports bra, what like leggings and shorts. I got to design a graphic t-shirt or a couple graphic t-shirts, hoodie, joggers. So I got to go through that whole process, which I think kind of the coolest part was just getting my feet wet and actually being behind the curtain when it comes to that stuff, because I've been working with Oner since 2023. So I'm almost at 2 years. I think in May it'll be 2 years. And it feels like it's been longer than that, honestly. But obviously I do a lot for the brand, but was never really sort of in on the design process. So that was pretty incredible to do.
How fast did it sell out?
So different item, it's like the way it works is like different items in different regions are like stocked differently. So like there was like the graphic tees sold out in most sizes, and like the things that were exclusive to the capsule sold out. But then when it comes to like the leggings and the shorts, those are kind of like evergreen products.
Felt like every story I saw was like, here's the new thing, bam,
Sold out.
Here's the new thing, bam, gone.
She's being a little humble too. She fucking killed
Yeah,
it. Yeah, she did. She crushed.
It went well. It was good. It was nerve wracking. It was weird. Like it was a crazy experience, but it was really, really fun. And I'm excited to hopefully do it again.
So it's, for people who don't know, I guess maybe most people won't, but like when we first started dating, you know, you were like at this place where it's like you had like a pretty decent size following on TikTok, your Instagram, you had like 60,000 followers. And this was 4 years ago, right?
When we met?
Yeah.
We met 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's
Tim talks
2025.
about it daily.
We met in 2021. Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And so being, you know, watching you go through this process and just the amount of growth and watching you going from like training a shit ton of clients to growing like your online training business to being able to now eventually step out of training in person because you have so much responsibility online, and then to watch like your content creation go from just solely training and fitness stuff to now like what you've been able to do on your YouTube page, where you've been able to really branch out and express yourself more creatively, and it be more about like your lifestyle and just things that are happening on a day-to-day basis. Having front row seats to that as someone who, you know, the majority of my career, and most people listening to this, has been you show up, you fucking pound dirt, you know, you work your ass off, you train 8 hours a day, and you exchange that time, you know, 1-to-1, and you get buried, and it's mostly thankless. You're probably underpaid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, but I watched you do that grind, you know, and then put in the work, time, and effort to be able to transcend. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with doing that. I still do that. I love doing that. But if you're someone who is interested in eventually not doing that forever, because I don't know about you, like I don't want to do that forever.
60 years old, still
60 years old. Fuck that, dude. You know, and as you know, like you grow up, you get older, things change, man. They just do. But anyway, I'm saying all that to say it's been inspiring and just really eye-opening to watch you go through that journey. And it's just opened my mind to what's actually possible if you just believe that there's more out there for you to do, and then you start taking the necessary steps to get it done. And I think your story can be and frankly is an inspiration to a lot of people in our field. So I love you. And
Tim Riley's the
you.
conductor of the Kelly Matthews hype train. We'll text back and forth, and he'll be like, I remember when you first hit like 100K and then 200K. Tim was like, oh my God, can you believe it? I was like, oh my God, it's so cool. And then we're like, she just started YouTube when we were making bets how quickly it would blow up.
Yeah.
Obviously, episode 1, it blew up. I'm like, dude, this is amazing. This is so sick.
Well, it's funny because like she does this thing. So like she comes from the Northeast. Her family was super Catholic growing up. Like there's no attaboys. There's no pats on the back.
No.
Like if I'm looking for a compliment, I'll be like, babe, I'm getting leaner. She'll go, yeah. Like that. Like there's no, and then like, but she does it to herself where it's like she'll hit this milestone. Like she hits like 500,000 followers and she might mention it. And then, but God forbid I say it first. She'd be like, it's cool. Yeah.
Don't worry, he's telling me.
I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? That is crazy work.
It's something I work on.
Yeah. You've gotten better.
Yeah.
You have.
It's hard. Yeah. That's just like not the way that my family ever was or is still.
Do you think that served you to a degree though? And along your journey of like, frankly, like, pursuing success and growth and impact?
I think in some ways, yes. But I also think like, I'm aware of like, that I could be more excited about things. Yeah. And that would be probably more enjoyable. But I also like, it serves me in that like, I don't have crazy high highs and I don't have crazy low lows either. Like I try not to over celebrate things, but I also like when things are making me a little nervous or like something goes badly, I also can like stay pretty calm, cool, collect. Mm-hmm. And I think that those two things are kind of
for sure.
Like,
well, just because you don't have like a huge party freak out doesn't mean you're not happy.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. I just like have never been one, like, I don't think I'll ever have like the balloons in the follower count post, you know what I mean?
I've
like
seen that.
Which like I think is cute, but it's just like never been. That's just never really been my thing.
The girl pose with
that
the
pose,
knee up, with that and the balloons and the hands.
He goes, who decided that
Why
that was
is this
a pose?
It's like the duck lips thing.
I was
it's like It's like there's like a preset.
It's like the knee leg up and this. I do it. I hate to say it, but.
Yeah.
Hey, it works.
It works though. It's obviously working.
Cute.
Yeah. Maybe I should start doing it more. Maybe let's lead the podcast from now on. Yeah, that's what we'll do.
But to kind of circle back to what you said about like going from doing the grind on the day to day, and like I also completely agree that there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. But I think that most people that are doing that, if they were being honest with themselves, would, if they had the opportunity to make more money and work less or work the same amount, that they would do it, you know? And so that's sort of gradually what ended up happening, where I was like, oh, okay, I can just get more out of my time if I just like lean into these things a little bit more heavily. But the hard thing is like we're in a place now where there are a lot of people that either they get out of high school or there are high schoolers that I guess are doing influencing now, which I find to be pretty crazy. But I think not having the experience of doing the work doesn't serve you well. Like
not having spent the time training people in person and
I don't think it's wrong to want to be an influencer. Like it was Zack that made that post about like whatever percentage of Gen Z wants to be an influencer.
It's like more than half.
Yeah,
and I was kind of like, I get it. Like, that's what you see people having a freedom in their schedule, freedom to travel. They're making money and they're creating content. Like, that seems pretty sweet to me too. But going immediately into that without, especially when it comes to fitness, I think there are different things that you could probably get into pretty quickly that would be fine. But with fitness, it's like, you don't have any real time experience. And we talked a little bit about this during the initial podcast, but like, what are you basing that on other than either the way you look or maybe a little bit of creativity with the like the way that you're shooting? If there's nothing deeper than that, you're going to have a hard time maintaining that in the long term. And that's also why I've sort of expanded my horizons when it comes to the type of content that I make. I'm not just making fitness content anymore, because who knows what's going to happen down the line and how long people are going to care what I have to say about coaching. So maybe they'll care about my cats or like.
Well, I mean, is there an aspect to it too? Like you've been creating fitness content for a long time. And even with my own content creation journey, like there was a point in time where like basically the move for me was like, it's just my athletes or it's just me working out. That's it. Yeah. And then after a while, it's like I got to this place where I was like, fuck, we talked about this the other day.
You just have to evolve.
It's like, man, I'm so sick of me, dude. Yeah. I can't stand.
That's where I'm at now.
I'm just like, it's like, that meme where it's like the guy looking in the mirror and it's like, you're the fucking problem. Yeah. It's like, but it's like there are times like, I'm like, I guess I'm just putting up another post of, my NFL guys doing something really sweet or whatever. And it's fine because people like it, but an avenue that was unexpected and like an unexpected benefit of creating content was like this getting to express myself creatively that I didn't realize I was missing until
you can't sing or dance.
But it also takes bandwidth to do it that way because what's great about having an outline that you stick to is that's easy for you, right? It's like, I'm sure you can like shoot the athletes or your own workout and just like edit it in 25 minutes and then you can post it and it takes very little brain power. Whereas like getting creative, trying new styles of content, trying new stuff, it's not all going to work and it's going to take more time and energy than it does to do stuff that you already know how to do. But that's how people pigeonhole themselves into like the same thing is they're like, oh, this is the only thing that's working. So I'm just going to keep doing this thing. I can't ever branch out and do different stuff, which is just not what I want to happen. And I've gotten a thicker skin when it comes to content too and realizing that it's like, if it doesn't work, who fucking cares? It's going to be way down on my feed in about a week and a half. Yeah. So it really doesn't matter.
Nobody remembers.
And that's a lesson learned.
We were talking about this the other day. How epic do you have to be to make a piece of content so putrid, so bad that people remember it forever?
Tim Riley, June 16th, 2017.
God, it's like I still have that post saved. Holy shit, what a moron that guy is. Yeah, that was a bad take, You're probably more predisposed to that, like if you have like a really big audience, you know what I mean? But even then, it's like no one really cares because I see some of the nonsense people post regularly and it's just like, oh, that's just so-and-so,
It's just so-and-so being so-and-so.
Exactly.
Where do you get some of your inspiration from when you like made the switch from just you working out to more the vlog style content or day-to-day stuff?
I think a lot of times it comes from other creators and the type of content that you're consuming, but also like just what's happening in my life. Like I've been gardening recently and like really been focused on doing stuff around the house. Like my pets are such a big part of my life, all of that stuff. I feel like it just gives people a little bit more of a glimpse into who I am as a person. And at the end of the day, that's what people want most of the time. It's so different I think that men want that too. But it's less intense. Like, it's like
I see what you're saying is women are nosier.
Yeah, women are nosier, and
I don't really care what Tim's doing.
And they want to know you. They want to have a parasocial relationship with you. Yeah, and it is a trade-off though, because it's like men automatically you are an authority figure, just because like that's why there are men that have made a career on social media off of plastering a woman's video in front of his face and just going like this to her workout. Mm-hmm. Or, your favorite guy, Squat University.
Don't give me fucking
just putting his
just him green screen. And it's like the first 10 seconds is some poor fucking influencer girl with a scrunch butt, outfit on so he can grab attention. And he's like, she almost did this really well, but if she had just driven her knees out on her squat, kill me now, dude. Fucking vulture.
And like, regardless of what the intention is, it's like, okay, so your content that you're making on your own is not doing well. You're using somebody else's content so that you can grab attention and then you can establish yourself as smarter than this person. Yeah. And like, really only men can do that successfully, but it's with the caveat that like people don't care as much about what's going on in your personal life. You don't have as much freedom to kind of create around that. I think you said like anytime you post me, people unfollow you, right?
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. It's like people are like, I don't want to post my family. See
like
your
I'll
family.
put up like, you know, and like the real ones, the day ones, like the people who are actually interacting with me on a regular basis engage with that. If it's like, you know, like I do like an April dump or whatever, or March dump or whatever. It's like mostly my life and just like milestones that have happened, pictures of me and you, and maybe a picture of my daughter. But the following count does drop every single time, which also like go fuck them, you know.
Yeah, but don't let the door hit you. On the way out.
I'll see you later. Yeah. But hey, can we tease that out a little bit more? Just like the general trend of the fitness creator that has built their entire platform on commenting on other people's training, other people's ideas, other people's philosophies, and literally creating nothing for themselves. It's just like the opinion-based content person. Because it honestly, it's like, look, and it works. It works.
That's what it is.
Man.
Because people like to see the fight and the arguing.
Yeah.
It's really like, I understand, because I think approaching it from a different perspective of somebody that knows nothing about fitness, it's hard for us to see it through that lens, right? Because we look at that and we're like, fuck this guy. Like, this is just a really bad look. But if you're somebody that's like coming to the internet, potentially to like start your fitness journey for the first time, and there's so much content, right? Like there's so many fitness influencers saying conflicting things. And you don't know where to start and what's going to work and what's not going to work. And so these people end up attracting that type of person where they're just like, oh, okay, like this person has established themselves as a legit coach. Because most of the time, like, they do know what they're talking about to a certain extent. Like they're not saying bad information. They're just delivering it in a way that I find to be gross. And like the whole point of content creation is like having to find a way to make it and make your content interesting on your fucking own. Like,
don't use others to propel yourself up. Like, others down.
It's like
recess rule.
It's like the literal social media embodiment of being willing to walk over someone's dead body to get followers.
And like it's not my
right?
It is.
It's not my cup of tea to like be tearing people down on the internet. Like I can take that or leave it. It's the thing that pisses me off is when they're like, yeah, that's a good workout.
Yeah. It's like, obviously that's why I posted
What the fuck are we doing here?
Like he literally, you just sit in the bottom of the screen and it's like, they just makes facial expressions. It's like an approval of what's happening.
And then it's like,
here.
That's a really good workout.
It's like, you know what? It's actually not that bad. And then it's like, what are we doing? Get out of here, dude.
Yeah. So that is something that irks me.
They don't tag the person.
Yes.
They don't at the person. They don't give them any credit.
They don't tag them. And then they're like, oh, they play dumb about that shit too. Is they're like, oh, I don't know who it is. Like, how are you getting
this video popped up on my phone?
It's like, it's like you got
number.
It off your For You page and you screen recorded it, you motherfucker.
And you purposely remove the person's information.
Right. Yeah. You expanded the screen.
It's like so on purpose.
Tale as old as time.
Tale as old as time.
Yeah. So I would say that on my sort of list of things that get under my skin, my icks when it comes to fitness social media, that might be number one. I think a close second is the sort of like modesty shaming culture that we're starting to see right now.
So this proliferates more in the, in the female gaze, the more women-centric side of fitness, I feel like.
It does, but it's also like it's not. Men are engaging with this content too in a really
so for the
sort
people
of
who don't know, because I know what you're talking about because I've seen it. But there's going to be plenty of listeners who like only follow other strength coaches and don't know what's going on here. So for everybody, can you kind of give us an outline of exactly what it is you mean, what you're talking about, and where it presents itself? Yeah,
it's usually a woman, a personal trainer, coach, who's coming on to say either like, I used to wear a sports bra and shorts to the gym, but I don't anymore because I only want woman followers and I'm trying to build a community of women and I'm not going to be engaging in that type of behavior anymore. Or they'll straight up just like call out fitness influencers for the way that they dress or the way that they film themselves. And it's just giving like, it's kind of the same thing where like that's the only way you know how to get people to engage with your content.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, that type of content, you look at the comments and it's men in there being like, finally a respectable woman.
Right. Yeah. It's like, but then if you were to go and look at who they follow, it's every single girl that woman just buried.
100%.
Yeah.
And they don't even know.
Literally, it's literally like fitness porn.
It's like they're the ones leaving the comments like, you're so hot. You're so, it's like, bro, people can see that you left this comment. Have you no shame? You know what I mean? Embarrassing. It's a bad look.
Yeah.
You know what it gives to me, where it's like that to me is like the social media equivalent of like, you know, someone who like was formerly like OF model, but now they're like trad wife, kind of like, you know what I mean?
Just like born again Christian type beat.
Yes.
Yeah, but it really is like seeing, and I can understand how you're going on social media and there is a lot of, I think there's sort of a tier level to it where it's like there are women that do OnlyFans and their content is like fitness with a very sexual lens.
Yeah, it's like, it's fit. We're in a gym.
I call it,
Like, okay, I get this. I see the setting, but what's happening here?
It is so obvious to me. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that girl is promoting her OnlyFans. And I scroll on.
Yep.
And you know what? If I don't watch that video for more than 3 seconds and I don't hit a like or send it to someone or save it to someone, I don't see any more of that content.
Yeah.
So the people talking about how it's like everywhere, it's like, well, okay.
Quit engaging with it. Bro.
How much? Yeah. How much can you be held responsible for your own For You page?
Yeah.
So it's like there's that, which is very real, but I don't find it to be like a problem I don't find people associating me with that or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think those people should make their money the way they want to make their money, and it doesn't affect my business at all. And then it's like people that just kind of wear whatever the fuck they want to wear.
Yep.
And it just is what it is. And then there's people that look at that and they're like, that's the reason I'm not successful. The reason I'm not getting views or likes or any of that stuff is because I'm not dressing the way that she's dressing. Yep. But then you look at creators that dress modestly or film in a very particular type of way where they are conscious of the way that their body is being seen on the internet without fucking announcing it to everyone in a way that's meant to shame other people in the way that they're creating content.
Thing.
There are lots of successful people like that create really, really good content. And why aren't you one of them? I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah.
But like every time without fail, when I go and look at that person's profile, it's like 10K views, 10K views, 10K views, less than 10K views. And then that one video where they're like shitting on other influencers, it's like 200,000 views. It's like, oh, that's why they're doing this shit, is because it's the only way. And you feel good about that. Yeah. Like that's how you want to build your brand, is by pulling other people down on your way. Like you can build a really successful coaching business too without like, you don't need millions of followers. You really don't need all of these things that you think you need in order to build a successful business online. I have seen women build extremely successful coaching businesses with less than 10,000 followers.
Yeah.
Because conversion matters, not followers.
Build a community in a way that has nothing to do with what other influencers are doing. The right people will find you when you're creating the content that they want to consume. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about, right? Like that's who I follow. Somebody's making content that I like, that I want to see more of, I'm going to follow them.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you should probably know if your content strategy is working. If you're posting your videos and people aren't buying your product, you probably need to ask the question of, how am I portraying myself? What am I selling? All this stuff. Like your thing, like you train like an absolute savage. You know what I mean? It's not like you're just like a pretty woman that squats and benches or whatever. It's like you actually train and do stuff. So I think there's a totally different message going on there than just like the cute girl that stumbled into the gym and is running on the treadmill.
Right. For sure.
The Coach 'em Up podcast is sponsored by Squat Wedgies. Tim, what are Squat Wedgies?
Squat Wedgies are an adjustable squat wedge, 7, 13, and 20 degrees.
It's big enough to elevate your whole foot and not just your heel.
Because it's rubber, it doesn't slide on surfaces.
It's 22 pounds, so it's durable and stable enough for even your biggest athletes.
There's a 90-day risk-free trial. The shipping is free, and
get 15% off Squat Wedgies with our discount code, CoachEmUp15.
Coach 'em Up 15 for 15% off of the best squat wedge on the planet. The Coach 'em Up podcast has partnered with Eleiko.
Let's go!
Not only is Eleiko found in 85% of Power 5 schools, but they also offer at-home solutions from racks, flooring, rigs, barbells, bumper plates, your favorite accessories like straps and weightlifting belts, you name it, Eleiko's got you covered. Go to Eleiko.com/coachemup and get access to the same equipment that they're using in the best facilities with the best athletes on the planet.
And now, back to the show.
So to that point, well, you mentioned, I don't want to gloss over this. You talked about building a community. Mm-hmm. And this is something I would have, if someone would have said to me, it's like, you should prioritize building a community online, I would have been like, whatever, lame, you know? However, as time has gone on, I've begun to understand that that's actually like what, and I didn't realize it at the time when we first started this podcast, but like that's what this is. And that's what 100%. The conference is. And it's like, I want to be surrounded with, by, supported by, empowering other people who are good people who are trying to do the same thing Zach and I are doing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like, I want to, that was like one of the foundations of this podcast is like, we want to lift up other coaches, help them pursue their dreams, bring people on who can open those doors and make that easier for everyone who listens and watches.
We want listeners that actually care about training and care about the same things that we care about. And like, I mean, I see you do this on a daily basis of like, you are answering every single DM that comes into the Coach 'em Up Instagram. You are like, I can tell that it really matters to you, that the people that are going out of their way to listen and engage with the content know that they are appreciated. And that's literally what building a community is like speaking to those people, engaging with those people, and not just sort of making them feel like they're just, you know, another fish in the sea, like who cares, whatever. And like, I think that in certain cases you can have that attitude where it's like somebody that's being a piece of shit hater in your comments, and it's just like, all right, whatever, leave.
Or the other thing is like, Coach, can you write me a workout split for next week? I'm gonna have a week off for spring break. It's like, listen, Caden. Fuck no. You know, I'm not gonna respond to that. I'm sorry. I know you're 16 and you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. And you think I'm a good coach and that's why you asked, but you're not connecting the dots.
Caden, buy program.
Sorry, by Caden. Purchase cheat code, pal.
Your dad gave you a credit card.
Yeah. Get it. Speaking of community, can we get into the community you've built with a ladder?
Wow.
Sure.
Speaking of, we'll talk about, can I know how many people are on it?
You know, I don't know off the top of my head right now, but the last time I was updated, we're at somewhere around like, I think 17 or 18,000 people.
So just into perspective for all you people, University of Miami has 15,000 students. That would mean every kid on campus plus 3,000 to 4,000 more is on the program. That is it. Her community is bigger than some small towns, most small towns.
So that's, that it also makes sense. Your training team has continued to grow on Ladder. That's what, by the way, just real quick for those who don't know, the app is Ladder. Her training team name is Limitless. And to Zach's point, it's like, you could take every single student at the University of Miami, plus all of the administration.
And more. People that live around the campus.
Literally.
You still wouldn't be there.
Basically one half of South Florida trains with Kelly. That's insane.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty crazy. I think you sort of get desensitized to the numbers a little bit, but I do also have to think about it more and more because it's a little bit in the back of my head when I'm programming. I'm like, are 15,000 people going to want to do this programming?
I think that's the hardest part with programming of like, How do you go about, because I struggle with the same thing of like, I want to put this certain exercise, but then I'm thinking of like, okay, if Tim's on it, he's more advanced. If Caden's on it, he's not quite as advanced. like, what are we doing? Like, how much of that goes into it? Because I know you sit down and plan pretty thoroughly for all these training plans.
I think over time, so I've been coaching on ladder since 2022, and so much has changed in the process, not only with the platform itself, but also just how much we're able to learn just by like feedback from people, the metrics of workout completions, and like you can even see, it kind of freaks me out how much like they know everything about what you're doing on that app at all times, like what you're clicking, how long you're looking at it, what you're skipping, every single thing you do is like a piece of data to them. So over time, I feel like I've just learned sort of human behavior with training, and you make compromises. You know, like when I first started coaching on the app, I was like, no, I'm not changing the exercises. Because like it's a 6-week block. We work in 6-week blocks, and I'm like, they can do the same exercises for 6 weeks. Like that's a short period of time. And then over time, I was just like, okay, they're not doing it. So like we have to adapt to the fact that like people get bored and they want a little bit of change. So like, yeah, instead of a fucking skull crusher, you're going to do a cable overhead tricep extension. Like, and that's fine. And I'm okay with that. There are compromises that you can make, and you can be creative with things to kind of give people what they want, without sacrificing the integrity of the program. But also I'm lucky because now it's like ladder has a swap feature. So if you go in and it's like barbell back squats and you're not doing that, or you don't have a barbell, it'll give you like, you know,
regressions and progression options. Fuck, that's awesome. That app is so incredible.
15,000 plus.
It's insane. Yeah.
So that definitely makes it easier too, because before we had those features, it would just be me. So I also voice over every workout. So when you go in, it's like me talking in your ear.
Literally every set.
Do you subscribe just to hear that?
No, but I did in the beginning, because I was like, I kind of looked at some of the other coaches and stuff. I wanted to see. Kelly's the best. No hate to anyone else, just saying. But because I was like, having an in-ear coach while you're doing training.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, it's nice. But I was like, what is that even like?
Yeah.
And listening to it, it's like, oh, it gives people the experience that Kelly's literally there coaching them in person. Because you can give like little coaching cues. Like, you know, if you're creating a program online or even in an Excel doc, you can just be like, you know, here are some cues, right? It's like, oh, if you're squatting, here's the squat variation I want you to do. Here's where I want you to focus on foot pressure or torso lean, whatever it is. But like with that app, she can literally say, and also you can play your music at the same time.
Whoa.
Yeah. So they can have whatever music platform it is that you like to use. And then bam, Kelly's in your ear going, it's like, don't let your hips rise first. You know what I mean? Or like whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's literally everything. It's because you don't think about all of the small things that if you work with a coach that they do for you. And so like, even just talking about, like we did a powerlifting block and talking about like when to use a belt, when to use knee sleeves, when to use all of these like tools that otherwise people just feel really lost about.
Yeah.
And they've just done a really amazing job of listening and observing what people really need to feel like they're getting as close to a personal training experience as you can get. And it's by far the closest. Yeah. Like there's no other app I mean, part of the problem is it's just like, you don't know until you get in there. It's so hard to intimate to people exactly like what you're getting when you sign up for ladder in particular, until you get in there and people are like, oh, okay. Like
this isn't just an Excel.
This isn't just a like plug and play, like influencer type program. It's sort of the real deal. So
speaking of programming, so, you know, for all these people and like the difficulty of programming for that many people, and your style of programming and the philosophy is that you can be athletic and aesthetic, right? And you don't have to have one without the other. There aren't compromises there. You can have both, but that also means like in your programming for what is mostly what would be considered gen pop people.
Yeah.
But you've got them broad jumping, box jumping, sprinting, hopping, skipping. So can you talk about the challenges of giving people athletic movement, dosing it appropriately, and like kind of like what you've learned about what that looks like and how to implement it well?
Sure. The people that are attracted to my team in particular tend to be attracted to that training style.
Yeah.
So that's helpful because with social media, they see you training and they want to train like you.
Yeah.
That's sort of what it comes down to. But when it comes to actually implementing it into the program, that's where being able to voice over the workouts is incredibly helpful because, if you're coming in fucking Mary off the street, you're like 39, you haven't sprinted or hopped since you were playing high school field hockey, it's not a great idea for you to come in and do like single leg bounds and sprints. It's just not a good...
It's a terrible idea, Mary. Actually, Mary, let's be clear, Mary. Don't fucking do that. Yeah.
So I can be super clear with them in voiceovers as to like, if this is your first week, you should be going like 70% at most. And any of these things that don't feel good in your body, I would suggest just skipping them for now and just you stick to the basics. So we have a full on like sprint day. It's once a week. It's not like insanely high intensity, but it is like what I do for sprint workouts. So they're definitely hitting it pretty hard and people tend to really love it when they lean into it. There are plenty of people that skip that workout, but they're still like, this upcoming block is definitely a lot more like fast paced and we're going to be doing broad jumps and squat jumps and like kettlebell swings and a lot more like high impact stuff on almost every workout. And usually after like a week or two, people are like, oh, hell yeah. Because they just don't know that they can do it until they do it.
Yep.
And those are things that feel incredibly intimidating to people that are just stepping foot into a gym. And so having somebody there to kind of egg you on, even though I'm not actually physically there, and seeing people in the chat talking about it, people that are working a day job and they're not athletes by the general standard, but they're all doing this stuff and improving and getting better and getting faster and jumping higher and getting so much more confident in a way that I don't think we often like allow ourselves to do as adults as Gen Pop.
Yeah.
Like people in our space obviously are much more accustomed to doing that type of work, but these are just like regular people. So it's really, really fun for me to be the facilitator to get them into stuff like that. And then when it comes to like athletics and aesthetics, I just am a firm believer that the aesthetics come on the other side of the athletics. Like when you're doing the work like that, when you're doing real strength work, real explosive work, and also I do plenty of hypertrophy work in there too. Like there are bodybuilding type sets in there. We do straight sets of stuff. I'm having them go like 1-2 reps away from failure. They learn how to do that stuff too, and how I can like sort of educate them around how all of these things tie in together, that like doing bodybuilding type work is going to help you build more muscle. More muscle is going to help you get stronger. More muscle is going to help you get faster. Like all of these things are sort of married together in a way.
You know what I just looked up while you were talking? I hit Chat GPT with the question of how many people past the age of 30 will still be sprinting, and a very long, very well thought out, shout out Chat GPT. I mean, just amazing. But here's the summary estimate. Only about 1 to 5% of people over 30 are likely still sprinting, defined as running near max velocity, not just jogging. 1 to 5% of people, it might be just the 30,000 people who are doing your program or whatever. You know what I mean?
Why do people think that like once they get out of their like early 20s, they can't run or jump or like, I wonder why that is.
Yeah, I think maybe, for most people, it's just like, you get busy, you start working a job, like you do just enough to like look good, and like you don't have to sprint to look good. And like if you're sprinting, like, I do I sprint. I have a couple sprint workouts a week. Like there's a dynamic warm up, the sprint session itself, and it's like it's time consuming. Yeah. And so I think for most people, like the ROI relative to like just being able to roll into the gym, you're fucking tired, probably hungover, you slam some pre-workout, you smash some leg extensions, maybe calves for sure, buys, tries, maybe some abs, and you're fucking out, dude. You know, some pec flies. Yeah. And like, you know, so I just don't think it's, I will say this. I think people like Kelly are on the forefront of this and why this is happening. The trend in fitness at large, not just performance coaches or people that are nerdy like you and me, Zach, about sports performance stuff. The trend is going towards people training, and it's like, you know, the quote you see is like an athlete. Yeah. Right. But sprinting, bounding, jumping, because like it's awesome. And when people do it and they realize it, they go, oh my God, this is actually really sweet.
Well, I think also you just sort of lose sight when you're not competing in sports anymore, and movement is no longer an integral part of your life. That's something that I feel very lucky to have never lost, is that training and movement has always just been such a mainstay in my life. And like, I need to feel like I'm being competitive about something. I need to feel like I'm improving on something. And honestly, like a lot of people probably get that from their work, right? Mm-hmm. Like that they're like going balls to the wall at their job, or like their kids, and all of those things kind of suck a lot of the energy out of it. But I think like once you get a little taste of being like, oh, I can still do this stuff, and I can still get this feeling from training and feel good at something, and feel bad at something, like feel like I'm learning a new skill, feel kind of stupid. I think that once you have that sort of taste in your mouth in your adult life, some of that fear goes away. Because I also think there's just like general fear mongering around certain stuff when you get older. Yeah. Like I always thought that once I got into my 30s, and God forbid my 40s, that like life is over at that point, that like anything athletic that you want to do, you're going to be way worse at it, or you're going to bust an Achilles, or you're going to, you know, like all of that stuff is going to go. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. But look, here you are, like, back to full tilt.
You are.
Yeah,
you are back.
Life.
You're fucking back, baby. You literally are crushing life. You've got what's got to be, by the way, guys, everyone listening and watching, whenever I pitch people on the podcast, I tell them, unashamed, we're the fastest growing podcast in fitness and performance. You want to know why I can say that? Because it's a made up category. We made it up, okay? We made it up. We're the fastest growing because we're the only ones, okay?
If you make your own competitions, you can.
But yeah, dude, you're the host of a badass podcast. Fucking just got the Miami men's coaching job. Dude has both Achilles, 2 functioning Achilles. Can't be stopped. Can't be stopped. Zach, what's the best training app on the planet?
It has to be Train Heroic. Gone are the days of sending the old crusty PDF. Now we have a sleek new app.
It's easy to use. There's videos with descriptions. You get to track and log your weight, your reps. There's a community chat function. You can submit videos. You can get feedback.
How about the leaderboard, Tim?
I started using Train Heroic first as an athlete and someone who wanted to learn. Now I use it as a coach. Athletes and other coaches can go and be a part of my training community and get results.
Whether you're an athlete, coach, or just like to train, use the link in our description to find out how you can train on the best app in the world.
And join us on Train Heroic today. Can you talk about athleticism and training for aesthetics, why those aren't mutually exclusive, why you can have both, and how they actually tie into each other?
Well, I think the reason why people think that they are divorced is because, like, when you look at the extreme examples of all of them, like, eventually you kind of have to niche down, right? If you're a really serious bodybuilder, you're not going to be sprinting.
Yeah. You got no business doing that.
You're just not, because your priority is to put on as much muscle as you can and then get lean as dick skin. Like that sprinting is not.
That's pretty lean.
I thought you were going to say shout out, and I was like, Tim.
Shout out dick skin. It's not too late. Woo! Okay, keep going. Yeah. Shout out to everyone with dick skin. Tim. All right, babe, keep going. You're doing great.
So like sprinting is not a necessary part of bodybuilding. And like, yeah, when you look at elite sprinters or elite athletes, like when they're in season, they're probably not doing a crazy amount of like heavy strength work or whatever. But like, we're not any of those things, first of all. Like, I'm not going to be a professional bodybuilder, nor am I going to be a professional athlete, nor am I going to be like a professional powerlifter, any of those things. So like when you dial them back from being at the highest level of each of those specialties, all of those things can very much exist at the same time and feed into each other. What people don't realize is like, for me, with my experience with powerlifting, is people are like, oh, you're not sprinting. I'm like, well, I'm not sprinting right now because I have a powerlifting meet in a month.
Right.
This isn't a forever type of.
Right. But like, where it's like, well, why aren't we doing squat, bench, deadlift and it's like, I don't squat, bench, deadlift the way I do for powerlifting year round. That's fucking stupid. Like, I'm going to do a phase where I'm really focused on building muscle or building work capacity, or like having training phases and having a place for all of these things ends up benefiting you, because like when you just do one, you just hammer one training style all the time, your body's probably not going to feel good.
Yeah.
And you're going to
exhibit A. Yeah.
You're going to get bored probably. So yeah, I think that's my best explanation, is that like, we don't really have to pigeonhole ourselves into being at like the top of each thing. Right. And also realizing that like what you're looking at in people's sport is like their peak season, right? Mm-hmm. It's not the training that they do year round. The athletes you see are doing hypertrophy work. They are doing speed work. They are doing strength work. They're doing all of these things because they're all equally as important.
Everything bleeds into itself. It's like, just because you're doing powerlifting doesn't mean you're not going to put on lean tissue.
Right.
Because you're doing hypertrophy work doesn't mean you're not going to get strong. Like, it's not a black and white.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
but
that's what
5 to 8 reps.
I knew you were going to say
you're
that.
building a specific kind of muscular tissue, Zach.
People still
and then
really,
everything else up above that's fucking sarcoplasmic. Come on.
People still really believe that, though. It's like I still have people that come into the program and they're like, wait, but if I don't want to gain muscle, then I should stay in the 12 to 15 rep range,
I need
right?
to be lean and long. Can we talk about the Pilates Princess trend?
How long do you have?
Let's give it a 5-minute cap.
You guys want to hear a funny Pilates story?
Please.
So in high school, I got into some mischief. And my mom was like, the reason why you're getting into mischief is because you're not hanging out with your family enough. My mom she works out all the time, but she was big in Pilates. Okay. She's like, you're going to be grounded, obviously, and the next 2 weeks, you just have to hang out with me all day.
Wow.
So she would do Pilates every day, and I'd have to
diabolical.
Like a 2-hour Pilates class.
That is actually hilarious.
A 15-year-old, and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
That also feels like a punishment for her. I would never punish a child and tell them they had to hang out with me 24/7.
She's sick and twisted. That was my Pilates Princess journey.
Yeah.
I want to preface this by saying I have absolutely no problem with Pilates as a training system and as a workout. There's nothing wrong. If you like doing Pilates, you should do Pilates. It can be really beneficial.
I got a bunch of NFL players that do Pilates twice a week.
Yeah. I think it's wonderful. But when we're talking about the trend of like, I think what I've seen a lot on social media, unfortunately, is just a move toward like skinny being the most desirable trait once again, where I felt like we had kind of made some progress toward diversifying that a little bit and being a little bit more open to people having different body types. Because at the end of the day, like, this is a lie I told myself when I was, in my early 20s, that I was like, okay, if I don't do anything other than like bar and Pilates, I'm going to look like a dancer. Mm-hmm. Obviously.
Like,
checks out.
The only reason I don't look like that is because
your stupid strength coach is having you do deadlifts.
Yeah, it's because I played soccer. That's why I'm doomed to a life of.
You need to do lean long training like Pilates if you want lean long.
And unfortunately, I learned fairly quickly that like no matter how little I ate and how much bar and Pilates I did, my body was not going to look like that body. Yeah. And I think that the marketing around Pilates is the issue that I have when we talk about the lengthening and the toning.
The longing and the length.
How are you going to lengthen your muscles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a surgery for that now, but so that's really the issue. And it's like when you really dive deeper into it, there are political implications. There are reasons why we are shifting to encouraging women to have smaller and weaker bodies.
Yeah. We have literally 22 minutes left, and we have questions from guests.
Okay.
So we're probably going to finish with that.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds great.
Wonderful answer.
Ding, ding, ding.
All right.
You have no choice.
Zach, would you like to set it off?
Yes.
Oh, good questions only. If there's a bad question,
Bad questions
skip it.
only.
This is from Marrow Bulks.
Okay.
Do you have any advice on adjusting expectations for muscle gain in your 30s versus 20s?
No.
Same standard. New year, same standard.
Let's fucking go.
No. You're 30. What happens when you turn 30? Like what magical switch goes off that you're not building muscle anymore? That's not. If you are someone that has been training through your 20s, you should expect to feel your absolute fucking best in your 30s, because you're only going to continue to build muscle if you are consistent with training. You're only going to get better at the things that you're consistently doing.
Yeah.
So I certainly believed that my 30s was not going to be better than my 20s. And I have been very pleasantly surprised now at 35 that I feel way better, way stronger. I like the way I look more. So no, I don't think you have to manage expectations. Obviously, when we get to our later 30s, we have to think about perimenopause. We have to think about hormonal changes that are coming down the line that can affect how you feel in training, your nutrition, all of that stuff. That's very real. But when it comes to like transitioning from your 20s to your 30s, I don't think that there's really anything that you should worry about.
No, I think most people around our age, or at least for people I hang out with, I feel like we're in better shape now.
Yeah.
Because you're older, you have more structure to your life, hopefully, and more years of doing the thing.
Yeah,
I'm
you know
the
more.
biggest, fastest, strongest version of myself today than I've ever been. Which is fucking crazy to say.
Yeah. I wonder if if my speed compares to when I was like playing soccer. I don't know that for sure, but it sure feels like I have like more raw power than I did at that time.
Well, you're definitely stronger.
Yeah. It'd be a problem.
Yeah.
Oh, I would bury people. Now I
Bury
think
the
about
college Kelly Matt.
Oh my God. I weighed 130 pounds in college. I weigh almost 160 pounds now.
Yeah.
Think about that.
You're
Wild.
fast. I've seen you around. You're fast.
Yeah, she's pretty fast. She ran her best flying 10 the other day was 1:13.
Yeah, I'm not racing you.
That's fucking moving, you know?
It's fast.
Yeah. You mentioned real quick before we get back to the questions, hormonal changes and things that happen that are exclusive to women as they age. But another trend that I've seen, just particularly in the women's fitness space, is the concept of cycle syncing. And I had a wonderful conversation with Dr. Susie on this. Shout out Dr. Suze. She's the fucking best.
Susie Squat.
Susie Squatting. She's awesome. Can you talk a little bit about your opinions on that? Do you have an opinion?
Well, exactly what I saw exactly what she said, and it was on point. Like if you take everything to heart about cycle syncing, which if you don't know what that means, it's basically taking a look at the phases of your cycle and training based on what those phases are. So like when you are in your luteal phase and your menstrual phase, general recommendations that I've seen from like the cycle syncing gurus is like that you don't fucking train. So like you're going to tell me I'm not going to lift for 2 weeks out of the month. What kind of progress do you think you're going to make when you're not lifting 2 weeks out of the month?
Zero.
I think that it's really valuable. We're in this weird place where, yes, it's so under-researched, and like women should know what's happening in their cycle. Like Tim now knows what's happening in my cycle because
He does.
He tracks my period.
I do. I have an app, Flow app, because I need to know.
He needs to know.
I need to know. A couple days before, we need to know what's happening.
So like it's good to know why you feel the way you feel. And for me, like I get pretty bad PMS symptoms the day before and the first day of my period where my cramps are really, really bad. And like I probably will choose not to train really hard that day. I might switch in some steady state cardio instead of doing my heavy lift that day. But like as soon as I feel good enough to step into the gym and give it a try, most of the time, once I get going, I'm like, oh, it's fine. Like, no big deal. Yeah, you might be a little lethargic. It might suck a little bit. And if it's more important to you to do that than it is to make progress in your training, fine. But I always try to be really clear with people that like, you get out what you put in. So like, yeah, if you're taking a week off every month, just kind of expect that to really dig a hole in the progress that you're going to make. So if there's something that's really, really important to you, then I would make a plan around that as much as you can. But you do not need to take 2 weeks of the month off, like walking and just doing low impact work.
That literally equates to half the year.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Failed.
And it's also like,
you get nothing.
You want to take care of yourself. And like women go through a lot when it comes to their period, but you're also like not that fragile.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, what do you think that we've been doing for millennia, like of women getting their periods, like fucking on the Oregon Trail and like, you know what I mean?
Tough
like
chicks.
Yeah, very tough. It's like you have your period, you're hauling a wagon, and you have dysentery. Like, yikes. And you made it.
Yeah.
You know, wolves, you got wolves, bears.
So
fucking,
you don't have to put yourself...
Native Americans, they're pissed because you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
You know?
So you don't have to put yourself through hell, but I think just like having some perspective on like where that all is coming from, which is not research. Yeah. So those are my thoughts.
That was a magnificent shout out, dysentery. This question is from Alex.Pastrana and Oregon Trail _ how to deliver effective programming in the online space and different models for it. So I'm gonna warp his question. What are some of your principles? Because I think that's what he's really driving at here. Like, what are your general philosophies and principles for programming for lots of people online?
God, I think it depends on who you're trying to train, first of all.
Yeah. Your answers are going to be different from my answers, probably.
I think very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like,
that's a good first principle.
My answers are going to be different from your answers, are going to be different from somebody that wants to train people that are working out from home with 2 dumbbells.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I think it depends on who your audience is.
Know your audience.
Step
1.
Be willing to compromise your training principles with things that will make people adhere to the program.
Can you say that again? Because that is something performance coaches and strength coaches struggle with more than I think perhaps any other demographic
100%.
of fitness and training. It's my way or the highway. You're incredibly convicted around this certain way of working, and you fit into the fucking program, motherfucker, not the other way around.
Yeah. I mean, you said it, basically. But like most coaches, I think, feel that way in general, or personal trainers. It's like, yeah, you learn how to program the way you learn how to program, and you like the things that you like. And a lot of times we think of ourselves, right? Sure. When you're writing a program, you're thinking of yourself doing this program and how much you would like it and whatever. And like, those people are not you. They're not as strong as you. They don't have as much gym experience as you. They're not whatever. There are a lot of factors that are very different. So like removing yourself as the participant in the program and actually thinking about what makes people adhere to programs. And sometimes it's including shit that you don't necessarily believe is entirely necessary, or switching something out that's like maybe not quite as good, but it's more likely.
Love it.
But
the vibes stay high.
People love
vibes
it,
matter,
or
folks.
they have that equipment. Like, like I love a pendulum squat. What percentage of people have a pendulum squat in their gym?
Right. Very few.
1%, maybe. So I'm not gonna program a pendulum squat. That just doesn't make any sense. So I think, who are you trying to train? What are they working with? Give them good training, but also give them training that they want to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Does that answer the question?
It does. I think that was
very thorough.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Thank you.
This is a 2-part thing. This isn't a question. This is just a big shout out to you, Coach.Emilana. Tim and I want to thank you as well. Also started binging this podcast after her first interview. Excited to see what's next.
Nice.
Coach, are you subscribed? Get subscribed if you're not. All right. This was from...
There's 2 types of people in this world.
Subscribers and...
Non-subscribers.
This is by Life W. Jax. Do you ever struggle with nutrition advice? How do you stick with it?
Of course, I struggle with nutrition sometimes. I think for me, it's like, it didn't used to be this way, but I have found as I've gotten a little bit older and like, I don't know, I guess my schedule is just kind of crazy. Like I tend to now not eat enough protein some days, or like I'm really disjointed with my meals and I end up like just throwing together snacks and weird shit throughout the day. And like after a week, and it'll be a trend where it's like that starts to really ramp up for me, where it's like, you know, nutrition's good, it's good. And then I have like a week where I'm only getting takeout and eventually it gets to the point where I'm like, okay, I have to reel these things back in. And usually I just set a goal to like just make a couple small changes incrementally, because I'm not someone that does really well with like huge overhauls either. I know that I like to get takeout sometimes or have easy meals that I don't have to cook for myself. And so just making noticeable changes. And usually that means like holding myself accountable to my protein goal, because I really do think that that solves so many of your problems. Because like if you're actually getting enough protein, you're not going to be so hungry that you're eating shit that's not giving you nutritional value. And then you're getting the protein that you need, and then you can kind of fill in the gaps around that, and you keep yourself out of big trouble most of the time. So a lot of times that solves most of my problems. I think people overcomplicate nutrition. I think that's usually the biggest problem. I honestly don't like talking about nutrition that much, because I think it's so, I don't know, it just feels like quicksand to me.
Agree. Well, there's like too many caveats to everything.
Yeah. And like most of the time the answer is like, that's another thing we see a lot, where it's like, it's your cortisol. It's like, babe, that's probably not your cortisol.
Yeah.
It's not your cortisol.
You're probably not eating a tablespoon of peanut butter. You're probably eating 3 tablespoons of peanut butter every time. And you're probably
Peanut butter are good.
And you're probably dumping a whole lot of cooking oil in the skillet when you cook. And you're probably
That is such a low-hanging fruit people fuck themselves over on all the time.
Yeah.
It's like they're going to cook some eggs in the morning. They're like, I'm going to have a healthy breakfast and I'm going to cook 4 egg whites.
4 tablespoons of olive oil.
Literally,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you had eggs with your olive oil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look, I get it.
800
Delicious.
breakfast.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, look.
Yeah.
What do you do? You travel a bunch. What do you do on the road to kind of help with nutrition, just because you're not in your normal schedule with stuff?
That can be hard. I will say that shout out airports. They are getting better.
They are. Big shout out airports. We would love an airline sponsor. So if anybody knows
Delta,
a guy.
hit us up.
Yeah,
Delta only though. I won't take United.
Fuck that. Yeah, I'll take Southwest, boys. Let's go.
We'll take anybody.
Yeah, Spirit, hit me up.
I do think that airports are doing better, because like most of the time I can go to an airport and I can get like, they have like hard-boiled eggs and stuff like that now.
That's
and
a
like,
big lift.
The grab-and-go section.
they got meat sticks. I love me a chomps.
Chomps are good.
So stuff like that is a lot more accessible. Usually the places that I'm traveling to, I usually am at like the bigger airports. But then I also try to find Uber Eats makes things easier for me. Like most of the destinations, I try to really find like a Sweet Green or something that I know that I can kind of control. And then I also, I don't know, I try not to overthink it. I like to think like less is more. I stick to protein. I try not to like buy a bunch of snacks to have in my hotel room or like hit the minibar too hard. But like, I don't drink when I travel. That's a crazy thing to me, is like, obviously if you're going on vacation, but like what's really wild to me is watching people. The more I travel for business, the more I'm like, oh, everybody's getting drunk on this plane.
Yeah, drinking at the airport.
It is wild.
Stuff, yeah.
They're getting to the airport, they're having a tall beer, and then they're getting on the plane and they're having a fucking like Jameson and Coke. Like that's wild to me. Because it's like you're shooting yourself in the foot at that point. You're gonna feel like shit for that whole trip, and you're drinking 1,000 calories. Right off the rip. So
beer.
Shout out beer.
Shout out tall boys.
I've got another question. This is from Train with Renessa. What advice would you give to a coach?
Is that our girl? That's our girl.
Yeah. Shout out Renessa. She actually interns for me on Sundays and helps me with my large sprint group on Sundays. She's really fucking awesome. You guys give her Train with Renessa. What advice would you give to a coach trying to grow her own brand?
Brand is a very specific thing because it's like, it's what you want. It's how you want people to perceive you, right? Like when you think about any kind of brand, whether it's a personal brand or a business brand, it's curated in a way. So, I mean, for me, it's been going really hard on fitness and coaching and things that I know that I'm good at, right? Like I feel like I can separate myself a little bit with certain types of content, but also like pieces of my personality that maybe can stick out a little bit, and just like identifying those pillars. This is actually something I was like talking to Tim about, because although like when it comes, I'm assuming that she's talking about social media and coaching, right? Like we're talking about content pillars, which Tim didn't know what those were. And it's basically just like everything has to circle back to your pillars, right? And they can be different for everybody, but it's, for me, it's like, you know, education, and most of my stuff centers around education, motivation, all of that stuff around fitness. And that is like my main content pillar. But then I have other ones that are like, you know, here's my lifestyle pillar where my vlogs live, where my pet stuff, my garden stuff lives. And then you have to establish those things and like stop making random content. You want to make the content. That's what people love saying now, is they're like, just post the content, just post the content. Yes, post the content, but don't just post bullshit content. Yeah. If I go to your page and I don't know who the fuck you are and what the fuck you're trying to tell me, I'm gone so fast.
Yep.
I'm all set. So if you can keep those pillars really tight and have one that's your big one, which if you're a coach, it's going to be coaching. And maybe underneath that is like, I have a mic'd up series where I break down, I'll use myself as an example. I have stopped doing shitty. Like I do exercises where I go over form tips and mistakes that people make. And then maybe under that pillar, I also have a different series that's, you know, I post a full workout every week, and it's like a different, whatever, it's upper, lower, and really sussing those things out and making your content planned and making it so that people understand what your brand is. Cause that's the biggest mistake that people and brands make, is it's like, what are you? What are we looking at here?
Yep.
And that's very off-putting to people. So yeah, I think like kind of finding your personal voice, setting those content pillars, and really sort of going hard on making sure that you're cranking out good quality content that makes sense for that brand.
Are there any other good questions left, Zach? Anything that jumps out to you? Because if not, we're going to talk about the conference.
No, I think we talk about the conference.
All right, let's do it. So for those of you who don't know, the first night of the conference, June 13th, myself, Anna Craig, Zack Zillner, and Kelly Matthews are going to be doing an open panel. And I'm actually really excited to see
a round table.
A round table, one might call it. Yeah, how'd that just happen? That was really good. I'm glad we both thought the same thing, though. This is like a Dr. Evil moment. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's at a round table. That's what I think.
Yeah, the big silver table.
Yeah.
And the cat. Mr. Bigglesworth, is that its name?
Yeah.
Let's fucking go, dude. So no cats will be at the round table. There'll be
a few cats.
They might. They could. I've seen you do round tables before at Honoractive events and stuff like that, and you always crush.
Thank you.
So we're excited. Thank you for being willing to do it.
You're welcome.
Any advice for Zach and I for the round table?
Ooh.
You're an experienced round table girl. We've listen, this table's round, but this might be the only round table we sit at.
Yeah, but you guys have been talking for a living for the last year.
Whoa.
No, not a living. Yeah, that's a real stretch.
Let's be honest.
If there's any sponsors out there.
We're not, when we are profitable, we're breaking even. When we're profitable on the show, we'll tell you guys. But it's never going to happen if you don't like and subscribe.
You're out of the hole, though.
Subscribe. Yeah, please, God. Yeah, we're out of the hole. We've stopped paying out of pocket to get this thing going. So thank you to everybody for that. It is a big deal.
My advice to you, no, honestly, like people, I don't think that the people that are coming to this conference are gonna give a shit about what I have to say at the round table. They're gonna be there for you guys.
I think there's plenty of people.
It's gonna be a sports performance crowd.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
They're going to be like, get this influencer bitch off the stage.
I don't know.
So they see you do a flying 10.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, let's race up.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. How crazy is it that we started this podcast? So you were one of our first guests.
Yeah.
Your original podcast dropped. For those who haven't listened, go check it out. Her original podcast dropped March 18th of last year. So what's today? April 27th. So a year and a month later, you're back on. And just an outsider perspective, what have you noticed about the growth of the podcast? Anything that jumps out to you? Changes, improvements? We've gotten worse.
Yeah, it's been a steady decline. Yeah. No, I think when it comes to starting podcasts, because I've seen a lot of people do it, and I think that people think it's a lot easier than it is.
Yeah.
When it comes to like the logistics of it all and being engaging and scheduling guests, like all of this stuff. Like I think the most noticeable thing is that the breadth of guests that you guys have had on this show. I remember when you started it, I was like, you better get some women on that show. Mm-hmm. Because the thing for me with like I like to listen to like a strength training podcast here and there. And all of them, I'm like, oh my God, like it's just a lot of broing out. So I really appreciate that you guys have gone out of your way to get really intelligent and talented female coaches.
Yeah. It's been on purpose.
On this show. So I think that's very notable to me. But just in general, it's like you're getting people that have a lot of interesting stuff to say from, different fields, different life experiences. And I think that's part of it too, is that you're both really talented at sort of like bobbing and weaving through performance and training, but also like just people's lives and like their story and what they have to say. And that's not as easy to do as you make it look. Yeah. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
There's your compliment.
Wow, good. I want everyone to know that my compliment for the month was just burned.
There it is.
There it is. Kelly, thank you for coming on the show again.
Yes, were you about to shake my hand?
No, I was posturing.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We love you. We love everyone listening and watching, and we're out of here.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.